Change Enablement Series, Chapter 4, Sustaining Success Beyond Go Live. At ReVisionz, change enablement is designed with the understanding that implementation marks the beginning of operational change rather than the end of a project. Many industrial companies discover that momentum becomes fragile during the implementation and go-live stage. Training programs reach their highest intensity during implementation, but once the system launches, attention returns to priorities while teams continue trying to adjust to new expectations. The first 3 chapters of this Change Enablement series examined the foundations that prepare organizations for transformation. We explored the human factors that influence adoption, the importance of embedding change enablement into project design, and the role stakeholder engagement plays in building ownership across the organization. This final chapter looks past implementation. It focuses on how organizations sustain change once systems are live and how ReVisionz supports clients in building the structure, leadership alignment, and operational ownership required for improvements to continue after the project concludes. When does momentum fade? Implementation creates a concentrated period of attention, as teams receive quick guidance when questions arise. But when the project phase concludes, that structure may naturally begin to dissolve. Employees return to focusing on operational demands and stall out on learning the new tools. They might make small changes to best fit their needs. But over time, these adjustments affect how consistently the system is sustained. Here are some examples of erosion of the intent of the system. Processes start to vary between teams and locations. Document governance follows different paths depending on who is involved. Early frustrations stay unresolved when no clear feedback mechanism exists. Sustaining change requires deliberate support during this stage when new practices are still taking shape. Designing sustainment into the project lifecycle. ReVisionz addresses post-implementation challenges by treating sustainment as a defined stage of transformation rather than a task that begins after the project ends. Our objective is to guide clients through the transition from project execution to operational ownership while maintaining momentum. Transitioning responsibility to operational teams. One of the most important aspects of sustainment involves transferring responsibility from the project team to operational leaders. ReVisionz supports a phased transition that helps teams assume ownership gradually while the project structure is still active. This approach prevents the abrupt handoffs that leave operational teams responsible for systems they haven't fully integrated into their daily work. Establishing the operational structure. During this transition, ReVisionz works with clients to establish the framework that supports stable operations. Key components typically include defined system ownership, so employees understand who manages ongoing system changes. Tiered support models that provide clear escalation paths when issues arise. Operational job aids and quick reference guides that support employees during real tasks rather than relying solely on classroom training. Adoption and information quality metrics that reveal how consistently the system supports work. These elements create continuity between the project environment and the operational environment that follows implementation. Enforcing new ways of working. Stability develops gradually as employees gain experience with the system in real situations. Additionally, confidence grows when people understand how the system supports their responsibilities. ReVisionz supports this stage through reinforcement practices that maintain alignment after go-live. Leadership visibility and clear expectations. When leaders reference the new system during operational discussions and reinforce expectations for its use, employees are more likely to recognize that the change is central to how the organization operates. Communication also evolves during this stage. Messaging shifts away from preparing teams for future changes and toward demonstrating how the system supports everyday work and decision-making. Feedback that drives improvement. Employees become more confident when they see that their experiences lead to improvements. ReVisionz encourages organizations to establish structured feedback channels that allow users to surface operational challenges and suggest refinements. When feedback leads to visible improvements, the system becomes something people shape together, rather than something imposed during a project. Targeted learning and coaching. Refresher sessions, coaching engagements, and targeted support helps organizations address real challenges while reinforcing the behaviors that support the end-to-end processes and system design. Through continued reinforcement, the system will gradually become part of the normal rhythm of work rather than a recent change. The importance of operational credibility. Change initiatives gain traction when they reflect the realities of how work is performed. In complex environments, transformation cannot be guided purely from a project or technology perspective. It needs to reflect operational constraints, engineering dependencies, and safety requirements that shape how decisions are made in the field and in the office. ReVisionz brings experience across operations, engineering, asset management, and health and safety disciplines. This hands-on perspective allows our change enablement strategies to align with the way work moves through an organization rather than how it appears in theory. Operational teams recognize when change guidance reflects their environment. Conversations can become more productive when the people guiding the transformation understand the pressures and responsibilities that influence daily work. This shared understanding builds credibility and encourages more open engagement from stakeholders across the organization. By grounding change enablement in operational context, ReVisionz helps organizations strengthen trust across teams while establishing systems that support work performance. Building internal leadership. A successful transformation creates capability within the organization itself. ReVisionz works with clients to train leaders who can guide change after the project phase concludes. Knowledge transfer through participation. Internal leaders participate in governance discussions, process design sessions, and operational planning throughout the project lifecycle. This involvement helps them understand not only how the system functions, but also why certain decisions were made during its design in support of the processes. Role-based coaching. Coaching helps people understand how their responsibilities evolve within the new environment. Also, organizations that invest in this capability begin to develop a culture where change becomes part of normal operations. Characteristics of a self-sustaining change culture include continued role-based training for both new and existing employees, onboarding programs that reflect updated systems and processes, regular feedback channels that encourage operational insight, leadership reinforcement that connects system usage to organizational goals. When these elements exist, improvement becomes a continuous activity rather than a response to isolated projects. Making change last. The real measure of change enablement appears in daily work. Systems deliver value when teams rely on them consistently, processes remain aligned across roles, and employees understand how new ways of working support their responsibilities. ReVisionz helps organizations reach that point by embedding change enablement into the way work is managed and governed. Defined responsibilities and practical feedback channels give teams a clear path to raise challenges and refine processes as they gain experience with the system. Throughout this series, we explored how organizations prepare people for transformation and engage stakeholders during implementation. This effort is intended to stabilize adoption once systems are live. The aim of that work is a successful rollout that equips the organization to sustain progress and continue improving as it moves forward. If your organization is preparing for its next digital transformation initiative, ReVisionz can help you move forward with clarity and direction. Our experts guide your digital journey by establishing the practices that sustain change and support long-term success on your journey.